what really made the difference is when I discovered me, when I discovered that I wasn't any of those things that my parents had told me, that people around me had told me. I was called fat and ugly, and I was told I wasn't clever enough, that I was just a girl. And in my culture, being a girl has its disadvantages, but I decided to turn that around as an advantage. And I told myself what I wanted to hear. You know what, Nina, you're not that bad. You were homeless 6 years ago. Look at you now. You don't have to have the solution to everything overnight, but you'll find it. But whilst you're finding it, what about if you help other people? Because you know how it feels. Because I do. When you know how it feels, you don't want somebody else to feel like that. You want to literally hold them and say, hey, it's going to be okay. Because that person was you one day.
Hello, lovely community. Welcome to season 2 of Speak Up, Light Up. Here we're sharing transformational stories, speaking up the truth about the path to success, and lightening up with some practical tools and strategies for self-discovery and creating reality you love. I'm your host, Valerie Persetio. Today we have a very, very special and absolutely transformational story to share, the conversation that should be heard probably by millions of people. You're ready for that? Let's go. I want to start our episode with the words, life keeping to throw me stones and I'm keeping find the diamonds. And today's guest, very special guest, really is a proof. No matter what life gave to her, what kind of experiences she went through, she was able to find the inner light and serve people until now, constantly shifting their mind, their life to the very next level. And I think, especially nowadays, if you're going through very hard situations, you need to hear that. So the story is very, there's so much from one side pain, from the other side transformation. I think what we do, we will leave the link in the description box to the TEDx talk, that people can actually really dive into this story and understand it fully. So let me introduce our special guest today. It's Nina Aouilk. She's tuning in all the way from London. She's a well-known life coach who is also providing a mindset coaching to UFC and MMA fighters. She's a TEDx speaker, best-selling author, advocate, and spokesperson for multiple global platforms of human rights, sexual abuse prevention, parenting education, and she's also a mom of 3. Hi, Nina.
Hi, thank you for having me, Valerie. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your readiness to share your wisdom today. You went through domestic violence, sexual abuse, really cruel experience with your close family, particularly with parents. What was your light in this dark tunnel?
Yeah, so a lot happened, and as you said, you'd put the link in the bio, which would be great. A lot has happened in my life, and you have a way of looking at it. You either have a way to look at it that it destroys you or that it builds who you are today. And my light, I guess, was that I just found my keep going. When I was a child, I didn't know any better, so I carried on. When I became a teenager and I endured a horrific attack, I continued because there was something more. There was something more, and I knew there was, to my life. And then when I became a woman, I continually put one foot in front of the other because I had children. So when you have children, you can't necessarily give up. It's just a case of finding your keep going. That's something within you.
So, you train like high achievers, athletes, super successful people, the power of the mindset. And very often when people go through very traumatic experience in life, it's very hard for them to shift this mindset of being a victim to a mindset of the winner, but most importantly, a giver. the person who really find the way back to her or his soul, this inner light, and really does not give up on the whole experience of life, and ready to serve with his or her talents and gifts. What would be your advice to people to find in a way like the path back home to their inner
Sure.
home?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I would say is give yourselves a break. You know, we are so tough on ourselves. We tell ourselves off for the smallest things. So I should have known that. I shouldn't have done that. And it's hindsight. You know, you wouldn't have done it had you have known. And a lot of those insecurities, as you said, are from the past. We've brought them forward. So someone's voice, maybe a teacher saying you'll never make it, or a parent saying, why couldn't you be like your brother or sister? Why couldn't you have done this like your cousin? So there's always going to be those voices even around us. So having the right people around you is imperative. Having support, having somebody that will just listen to you without even talking, but actually hear you, because listening and hearing are two different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also being able to be strong enough to say, you know what, I'm not okay. I need some help. I need someone to guide me, show me a way. The way I ended up becoming the person I am today, I've always struggled through life. I've always, as I said, put one foot in front of the other. But what really made the difference is when I discovered me, when I discovered that I wasn't any of those things that my parents had told me, that people around me had told me, and I was called fat and ugly, and I was told I wasn't clever enough, that I was just a girl. And in my culture, being a girl has its disadvantages, but I decided to turn that around as an advantage. And I told myself what I wanted to hear. You know what, Nina, you're not that bad. You were homeless 6 years ago. Look at you now. You don't have to have the solution to everything overnight, but you'll find it. But whilst you're finding it, what about if you help other people? Because you know how it feels. Because I do. You know, when you know how it feels, you don't want somebody else to feel like that. You want to literally hold them and say, hey, it's going to be okay. Because that person was you one day.
Wow, that's true. And you know, the thing is, look, now you are like a flower, right? You're blooming, you're amazing, you're beautiful. And sometimes the bullying experience, whatever people throw at us, it's like a stepping stones for this greatness. Of course, when we are inside of this experience, we don't see it this way. But I'm happy that you're here. And I hope so many people will find hope in this, that if you just make the right choice, because there is always a choice to stay in the struggle, and this probably in a way an easy one, or you choose another way to grow, thrive, and find the sense in the whole experience of life, because it's so rich, it's so abundant, and it can be so much, it can taste different. And you know what I wanted to actually, maybe it's a little bit like global question, but that's what I'm asking myself every day, because yes, like we kind of do sometimes what is in our power. For example, having this conversation, speaking up the truth, setting up such environment, but it's still not enough, right? And people love to scream about let's change the world. However, the major change that has to be done is inside. The world is perfect. It's just we are screw up sometimes, our lives, the relationships, communication, and everything. But still, despite of like ages of going through so many processes, we still see these young girls who are living a disaster, whose lives are traded literally, who are in sexual slavery. And it's all supported sometimes from close people, from the whole communities. We see some cultures where women easily sent to do abortion because she's expecting a girl. Or we just see the latest example, Iran, when women can be killed because of breaking the rules set by men. And it does create some changes nowadays. It's very incredible to see, but it still feels like it's not enough. So what do you think, what we, everybody, because I understand that you cannot feel this pain until you are in this kind of situation. But maybe the listeners who are listening us, viewers who are watching this video, maybe they have to start shifting this common consciousness through very tiny actions. What kind of actions this can be?
No, you know what, Valerie, you're completely right in everything that you've said. For your listeners that don't know me, I am a gender-based violence activist. I speak out against honor killings. I speak out against honor killings, which are cultural, because I survived one, as you said. It happens to you, you don't want it to happen to somebody else. But I also speak out about human trafficking because my father sold my 6-year-old sister to human traffickers. He abducted her. And the point I'm telling your listeners this is because I want them to hear what I'm saying and not say, wow, that's so bad, but to understand that this is still happening. There are thousands, millions of other Ninas out there, thousands of Valeries out there still struggling. And like you said, the small changes all equate to a bigger change. And if we collectively stand together, what a strong force we are. And you know what? Don't leave it for the next person to sort out. Take some social responsibility upon yourself and say, something doesn't feel right, because our gut is our messaging service. It tells you when something's wrong. If you know your neighbors are continuously hurting one another, report it anonymously. You don't have to get physically involved, but you might be able to save a woman's life there, and even save her children from watching domestic violence, which will continuously haunt them for years to come. And I know this again from personal experience. When you see a homeless person, don't smile and give them a cup of coffee. Actually just stop for 2 minutes and say, hey, how are you? And just listen, just for 2 minutes. Show some compassion. If anybody is struggling, you know that they are being forced into a marriage or they're being smuggled out of the country because of human trafficking. Talk about videos that you've seen online, and they don't have to be mine, because there's no ego here. The only thing is a message to save a life. Talk about placing a metal object into their clothes so it sets off the security at the airport. That way they can ask for help. Talk about arranged marriages and forced marriages, and not respecting a girl by empowering girls that you know around you and telling them how important they are. Because 2 kind words to a child can make a huge difference, as they have done to me.
Yeah. Well, practicing kindness, exactly practicing, that can be already a huge change. But I think also, again, sometimes I feel you cannot really give what you don't have. And this kind of kindness, love, respect of, like, we're all different, tolerate each other, it starts from yourself. And I think learning, practicing kindness, love, respect, appreciation to yourself, nurturing yourself and giving this to the world, this can also be a change.
No,
So,
you're completely right. And what I would say to that is stop comparing. Don't look on social media and say, wow, she looks amazing, look how gorgeous, and she's so thin and I'm not. You know, stop comparing, start loving yourself from inside. Instead of saying a negative, say, actually, I baked a really perfect cake the other day and it tasted really good. Everyone was happy. Start looking at little things that you've done that are really good, and not thinking about the bigger things that you think other people are judging you upon, because it's how you believe you are from the inside. And you can change your whole hair and your whole makeup and your clothes, but if you don't feel good about yourself on the inside, it's going to show on the outside. And like you said, you can't help somebody else if you don't feel great about yourself. So starting with you is the real key, as you said.
Yeah. I don't know if I may ask, but are you in contact with your family right now?
No, I'm not, unfortunately. I have a lot of death threats, and some of them come from my family. There is a price on my beheading, which is known as the ultimate respect and a way to attain honor. But you know what? I believe I'm protected in a suit of armoire, love, because I love myself, and I believe the higher spirits will protect me because I have a message to deliver. But also I do love my parents, so I love them from afar. I don't blame them for what they've done, because I know that they did as they knew. They didn't know any different. Their culture taught them that way. And in a way, they made me who I am. And I love me. So, I'm grateful for that.
This is a huge lesson to learn from you. The power of forgiveness. And, I heard a lot, like, even from, I'm studying psychology, and I have some colleagues who are kind of in their personal development, but they are still telling you cannot forgive the violence, the cruelty, how you can forgive this, how you can forgive that. But this is like the power of release, this everything what is like sitting in your heart and not giving you move forward in life. Maybe you can just share this message, this your personal experience. What was your process of healing, releasing, maybe some tools that people can use nowadays?
Yeah, so my healing only started a couple of years ago, I'll be honest with you. I just got through life, and we struggle through, we just muddle through life, and we don't know what we're doing, but we're getting there. We've got children, so we have to get up in the mornings, we have to sort ourselves out for them, or we've got to work, we've got a job to get to, so we have to get ready and put our face on for the world. So I did that for a lot of years, until I sat back and said to myself, what do you need? What's your favorite food? Because you know what the children like to eat, you know what other people used to like to eat. Who are you when you're not a mother? Who are you when you're not a daughter or a partner to somebody? Who are you? And that's a really important place to start. Start to think about what you like, rediscover who you are. And it's quite an exciting thing to do. It's almost like being reborn into this new person. And everything does become exciting, because you're thinking, well, I wonder if I like pineapple juice or apple juice. Which one do I like? Do I like orange juice? So you get to try them all. And it's a great place to be. So I would say to people, start to ask yourself questions, and remember that you matter, that you do matter. It's not always about being a mum or being a wife or a daughter. You matter, or a son, whatever the case may be.
Well, that's true. And I wish from my heart that a lot of people find this way of healing, self-appreciation. And just because, all the situations that we're all facing nowadays, besides the, internal situation, there are also global ones, but the global ones can be also a projection of this common consciousness. That's how we are still on the level of awareness of how we are aware about the human power, how we are allow somebody to enslave ourselves, use our resources, instead of stand into this position of creator. And I do invite all the listeners and viewers to explore your path back to yourself as a creator. And I think at the end, I always ask my guests to project and light up from this place of creator. What Nina creator would like, what kind of message would you like to send, anyhow light up women, but also men who are going through some kind of challenges nowadays?
Yeah, like you said, it is a very challenging time, and a lot of people are struggling. But what I'd like to leave it with is that just tell yourselves it's going to be okay, that you will find a way. Tell yourselves you're doing as much as you can, as I said earlier, and rely on somebody, find that person. And if you don't have anyone, then find a friend that will listen to you, or even a stranger, because often offsetting your emotions really helps you to feel better in itself. So remember, you are good enough, that you're doing your best, and that I believe in you. And I'm going to leave you with some love.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for finding time tuning in today. And once again, if you, dear listeners, dear viewers, would like to dive into this incredible story, we will leave the link in the description box below. Also, if you would like to connect with Nina and really go through transformational experience, transformation of the mindset, find the way of healing, we will leave the link to connect with her And I hope this was kind of giving the hope, giving the love, and really invitation to connect with your light. It's time to speak up, light up. See you in the next episode.